What if the very future of Britain's energy, how it is generated, delivered, and paid for, was being determined right now in high-stakes meetings stretching from London's gleaming glass office towers to the historic corridors of Whitehall? Imagine an investment so enormous, so transformative, that it could redefine the energy landscape for tens of millions of people, not just for the next few years, but for entire generations to come. Yet, what if this bold bet also carried serious risks? And if you, the consumer, might ultimately be asked to pay the price? Right now, the United Kingdom is embarking on one of the most ambitious and far-reaching overhauls of its energy system in living memory. In a move that could shape the nation's prosperity, security, and climate for decades, the government regulator Ofgem has just approved a monumental investment plan worth £24 billion. This is not merely about keeping the lights on. It is about reimagining the very backbone of Britain's energy infrastructure, steering the country toward a cleaner, greener, and more self-sufficient future. Let's break down what is really at stake here. Out of this eye-watering £24 billion sum, more than £15 billion, well over 60% of the total investment, is designated for the maintenance and modernization of Britain's vast gas networks. These pipes and stations are the arteries and veins of the nation's energy system, ensuring homes and businesses from Cornwall to the Scottish Highlands have reliable supplies, no matter the weather, world events, or geopolitical upheavals. This investment will ensure that the energy system continues to function safely and efficiently, laying the foundation for any future changes. Almost £9 billion is earmarked for a different but equally important mission: upgrading the high-voltage electricity grid. This is the backbone that will carry the renewable energy of the future, wind, solar, and more, across the country. It is a crucial step towards accommodating new sources of clean power and innovative storage technologies. And just to be sure Britain is not caught out by unforeseen challenges, about £1.3 billion is held in reserve, ready for deployment if further upgrades or emergency fixes are needed. These upgrades will include more than 4,400 kilometers of overhead line improvements and 3,500 kilometers of new circuits, essentially doubling offshore investment compared to the previous decade. But this story is not just about cables, pipes, and transformers. The vision is much bigger. By the year 2030, the United Kingdom has set itself the ambitious goal of connecting up to 126 gigawatts of clean power generation capacity. To put that in perspective, this is more than double the renewable energy capacity that Britain has brought online over the past 10 years, a staggering leap. The plan encompasses not only vast offshore and onshore wind farms, but also solar arrays stretching across fields and rooftops, and even up to 24 gigawatts of civil nuclear power by the middle of this century. These figures are not just numbers. They represent a fundamental shift in how Britain produces and consumes energy, with the potential to reduce carbon emissions, create new industries, and position the UK as a global leader in clean technology. For the first time, the nation is developing a Strategic Spatial Energy Plan, or SSEP, a truly comprehensive blueprint that will map out exactly where and how all this new electricity will be generated, stored, and delivered. This plan is scheduled for completion by late 2026. It is a complex jigsaw that will coordinate thousands of new projects, from massive offshore wind farms in the North Sea to batteries and green hydrogen storage sites dotted throughout the countryside. The SSEP is designed to ensure that every region of the UK plays a role, balancing the needs of urban centers and rural communities, and providing a roadmap for energy developers to follow. According to Jonathan Brearley, the Chief Executive Officer of Ofgem, the 80 new projects included in the plan represent a long-term insurance policy against threats to Britain's energy security and the instability of prices. He is not exaggerating. Britain's heavy reliance on imported gas has made it vulnerable to global price shocks. During the recent energy crisis, experts warned that without government intervention, household bills could have soared to almost £4,000 per year, an unimaginable burden for many families. Even today, the government's energy price cap can fluctuate by several £100s within a single year, leaving households facing financial uncertainty with little warning. This volatility has had ripple effects across the economy, affecting everything from the cost of food production to the ability of small businesses to plan for the future. But big dreams come with big costs, and for many people, growing anxiety. The reality is that eventually the costs of these investments must be paid for. Ofgem estimates that by the year 2031, network charges on the average household bill could rise by over £100 per year. About half this sum is simply needed to maintain the safety and reliability of the existing energy infrastructure. The other half will fund the vital upgrades needed to support Britain's ambitious clean energy targets. This means that while the investment is aimed at securing a better future, it will have immediate impacts on household budgets in the present. Is this a fair price to pay for greater energy security and a greener future, or is it an extra burden on families already struggling with the rising cost of living? For some, it is a necessary investment in the nation's future. For others, it risks deepening social inequalities, especially if the benefits of the new energy system are not shared equally. The debate is not just economic, it is also moral and political, raising questions about who should bear the costs and who will reap the rewards. But the obstacles do not end with money. The journey to a net-zero electrified future is strewn with regulatory hurdles, tangled red tape, and fierce global competition for investment. According to the respected consultancy Cornwall Insight, not a single region in Great Britain had a planning permission success rate higher than 20% for new energy projects last year. That means 4 out of every 5 projects were blocked or severely delayed, often for reasons as simple as local opposition, bureaucratic delays, or conflicting land use priorities. This bottleneck is not unique to the UK. Countries like Germany and the United States face similar challenges as they try to modernize their grids and ramp up renewable energy deployment. Energy companies argue that the financial returns proposed by Ofgem are not competitive enough to attract the world's biggest investors, especially given the enormous business risks of building such a complex and interconnected network. SSE, one of the United Kingdom's leading energy firms, has warned that the current regulatory framework simply does not add up for long-term investment. In their view, unless the rules change, Britain could lose out to other countries that are offering more attractive conditions for global capital. This is a crucial point. The transition to clean energy is not just a technical challenge, but also a race to attract the best talent, technology, and investment from around the world. Experts from the Climate Change Committee, the country's independent climate watchdog, warn that some emerging technologies, such as carbon capture and storage or CCUS, are not just nice to have, but an absolute necessity, not an option, if Britain is to hit its climate targets. Without these technologies, sectors like heavy industry and cement manufacture may never be able to reach net zero emissions. Yet, investments in these areas have lagged far behind the ambitious promises made in government strategy papers. The UK is not alone in this. Countries like Norway and Canada have also struggled to scale up CCUS despite significant public support. Meanwhile, the energy system is changing in other ways. As the grid becomes more digital and interconnected, the threat of cyber attacks is growing. This is not science fiction. In recent years, hackers have targeted energy networks in Europe, the United States, and even the United Kingdom. Any major breach could disrupt power to millions of people, cripple critical infrastructure, or even endanger lives, a risk that industry leaders and regulators are grappling with every day. The infamous cyber attack on Ukraine's grid in 2015 left hundreds of thousands without power, serving as a stark warning of what could happen if Britain's defenses are not up to the challenge. So, as Britain prepares to pour tens of billions of pounds into a cleaner, smarter, and more robust grid, a critical question hangs in the air. Will these bold plans actually deliver affordable, reliable energy for everyone? Or are they laying the groundwork for higher bills, new vulnerabilities, and unexpected setbacks? The answer will shape not just the energy sector, but the daily lives of every household and business in the country. Let's explore what the future might look like if the United Kingdom's ambitious vision becomes reality. On the optimistic side, these investments could ignite a new era, a clean energy revolution. Picture a land where wind turbines spin along the coastline, solar panels glint on city rooftops, and Britain's dependence on unpredictable imported gas fades into the past. According to Renewable UK, wind power alone supplied enough electricity last year to power over 25 million homes, providing nearly half, 46%, of the nation's electricity needs. With the new infrastructure in place by the year 2030, the United Kingdom could finally achieve its goal of meeting 100% of its electricity demand with clean, homegrown power. But no transformation is ever without risk. Some experts warn that complex planning processes and slow regulatory approvals could choke progress just as momentum is building. Cornwall Insight's research reveals that only about 1 in 5 energy projects currently obtains planning permission. a bottleneck that could stall the green energy boom before it ever leaves the ground. Streamlining these processes is essential if Britain is to keep pace with its rivals and achieve its climate ambitions. Other countries have set examples worth noting. Denmark, for instance, has pioneered collaborative planning models that involve communities early and often, reducing opposition and speeding up approvals. Then there is the question of cost. Ofgem's rigorous review of company spending proposals led to a reduction of more than one-quarter, over £8 billion, saving consumers billions in the process. Yet, even with these savings, network charges on household bills are still expected to rise by around £100 by the year 2031. For families already struggling with inflation and stagnant wages, every extra pound counts. The stakes are not just technical, they are deeply personal. A rise in network charges could mean tough choices for households already cutting back on essentials. The government has pledged to monitor the impact and adjust policies as needed, but for many, the uncertainty is a source of real concern. Despite the challenges, the opportunities are enormous. A more resilient energy infrastructure means fewer supply shocks from global crises like the war in Ukraine or disruptions in the Middle East. Cleaner power helps Britain fight climate change, improving air quality and public health, and could create tens of thousands of new green jobs in industries ranging from offshore wind engineering to battery manufacturing. Since July 2024, over £40 billion of new private investment has been announced for Britain's clean energy industries, reflecting growing confidence and momentum in the sector. The ripple effect could reach further. New manufacturing hubs, revitalized ports, and technological innovation centers could emerge in regions that were once left behind by previous industrial shifts. But will these investments benefit everyone? The risk of social inequality is real. If the transition is not managed fairly, some communities could be left behind, facing higher bills or fewer job opportunities, while others prosper. That is why experts stress the need for a just transition, ensuring that the move to clean energy creates opportunities and protects the most vulnerable. Policies must be designed to help workers in traditional energy sectors retrain for new roles and to support low-income households through grants, subsidies, and targeted investment. The government has set aside £100 million in capital funding for clean energy project development in 2025 and 2026, and an additional £180 million in capital grants for rooftop solar projects on schools and National Health Service sites. These targeted investments are intended to ensure that the benefits of the green transition are shared as widely as possible, but experts warn that much more will be needed. What does all this mean for you, the consumer? First, understanding where your energy comes from and how the system works will make you a more empowered and informed participant in the transition. While higher bills may be on the horizon in the short term, greater price stability and self-sufficiency could pay off in the long run. When Britain's energy is truly homegrown, the wild price swings of global gas markets will have far less impact. If you own a home, this could be the perfect time to explore rooftop solar schemes, especially as new government grants and incentives are being rolled out. For example, an additional £180 million in capital grants has been set aside for solar installations on schools and National Health Service sites, a move that not only reduces energy costs for essential services, but also encourages innovation and learning in the next generation. For businesses and local communities, keeping a close eye on upcoming grid upgrades could reveal new opportunities for investment, partnership, or even community-owned energy projects. Across the country, grassroots initiatives are already springing up, from cooperative wind farms in Wales to solar-powered community centres in Yorkshire. In Scotland, local councils have launched pilot schemes allowing residents to invest directly in community battery storage, sharing the rewards and the responsibilities. And for everyone, supporting policies that streamline planning, encourage fair investment, and protect critical infrastructure will be vital. This means not just supporting big government programs, but also getting involved locally, attending public consultations, advocating for smart energy policies, and holding decision-makers accountable. The transition to clean energy is not just a technical problem, it is a social, economic, and political challenge, one that will require the engagement of millions of people. History shows that big shifts are possible when communities come together. The electrification of Britain in the early 20th century was driven by a combination of bold government action and popular support, transforming daily life for millions. It is also crucial to recognize that much of the future grid's flexibility will depend on technologies that are only just beginning to be deployed. massive battery installations, underground hydrogen storage, and even vehicle-to-grid systems, where electric cars can feed power back into the network, could one day allow homes and businesses to become both consumers and producers of electricity. In this future, the very shape of everyday life could change, with smart meters, dynamic pricing, and neighborhood energy sharing becoming commonplace. Imagine a world where your electric car not only powers your commute but also helps stabilize the grid during a storm, or where a community solar array provides affordable electricity to every household on your street. The United Kingdom's story is not unique. Countries around the world, from Germany to the United States to China, are grappling with the same challenges: how to modernize aging infrastructure, cut emissions, fend off cyber threats, and ensure that the transition to clean energy is fair and inclusive. Britain has a chance to lead by example, but only if it can overcome the obstacles of bureaucracy, investment, and public trust. International collaboration will be key, sharing best practices, learning from mistakes, and working together to develop the technologies and policies needed for a sustainable future. As we draw to a close, the answer to our opening question is far from black and white. The £24 billion investment could well deliver a more affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy system, if the right checks and balances are kept firmly in place. But if regulators, investors, or planners misstep, the risks of higher costs, missed climate targets, and delayed benefits will remain very real for British households. The stakes could not be higher. The choices made today will shape the energy system of tomorrow, affecting everything from the air we breathe to the jobs our children will have. Here is a little-known fact. The grid of the future will not just deliver power from big stations to your home. It could become a two-way street, where you generate, store, and even sell your own electricity. Imagine your home battery or electric car helping to balance the grid on a windy night. This is not science fiction. Pilot projects are already underway in cities like Bristol and Manchester. The challenge will be making these innovations accessible and affordable for everyone, not just the wealthy or the tech-savvy. Success will require not only investment and innovation, but also trust, transparency, and a willingness to work together across sectors and communities. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the trends shaping our global economy and technology. What do you think? Will Britain's energy revolution succeed, and will it benefit all? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, the way we power our lives is changing faster than ever before. Stay curious, stay